I'm not saying his elevator don't go all the way to the top. What I'm saying is I don't think he has any stairs.
Question for you for especially with the new companies. We talked about um, kind of advice for them, but you see them, they're trying to find some way into the market. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's presentation, sometimes it's, oh, I'm putting oud in everything. But then sometimes they're going into these using these really kind of exotic ingredients that are outside what you normally see,
Mhm.
right? You've got the carrier blends we're used to seeing, and then you have some that are going way outside of that to do their own thing. I'm thinking of like the beard and mac that you got the shirt on, just using some different kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, what's your experience with some of those different kind of ingredients that you run across? And when do they hold up to testing, or they're comparable to stuff that we're already
So
using?
let's let's do a subcategory. Let's
Sure.
kind of do a split here. Let's take the ones that are using different kind of oils and put them in one category, and then put the exotic ingredient types in another one, and put the
Okay.
CBD, the the ionic minerals.
Salt,
Um,
CFC salt minerals, whatever they are.
yeah, let's put that. Let's separate those two,
Okay.
um, because with the exotic oil, it really comes down to the oil. All right, so let me give you the classic example for me, the one that always comes to mind first. One of the most ubiquitous oils in the market right now is jojoba oil. And just out of respect, jojoba oil, Cuba, jojoba oil. Um, it's it's not cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but it's kind of middle of the road, lower end as far as cost goes. There's another oil, that meadowfoam oil, that you see some companies use. It does pretty much exactly the same thing as jojoba, and it's one of the most expensive oils on the market. It doesn't necessarily perform better. In fact, it can leave an orange tint if you use it, if you use too much of it. But it's a high dollar oil, so I think you kind of have to cherry pick on that one. And what I love, but one of the things I love most about Bearded Mac is he went out there and he researched and tried to build an oil where every component in there does something different. Now, there is a con to that. His carrier blend does have more of an aroma than than some of the more common ones, but he he makes it work because it's what goes in the beard, and that residual aroma goes away pretty quickly, at least from my experience. So for the whenever I see a new oil that I haven't tried, I shoot through. To me, that's if that's a gimmick, I'm a sucker for that gimmick. The
I
new
was
oil,
what are the gimmicks you've seen in the beard? It's true, but we'll get there later.
yeah.
That's a good
Ooh,
question.
that one might get us some heat, man. We might want to avoid that one.
Well, everything's private until I decide otherwise. I can always run it by you to make sure.
um, but no, when it comes to those different oils, I don't necessarily look at them as a gimmick. Um, Now, I believe some are going to be more effective than others for this beard type, this climate, whatever. But when somebody's using a different type of oil, I don't, that doesn't worry me. I think really what it would come down to would be how much of that oil needs to be present in a particular dose, the amount that you're using day to day for it to be effective. Um, at some point, and I don't think that it's a set amount. You can say, well, yes, you need 10 milliliters of each ingredient to get an effective amount. I think some of them you probably need more present for it to have an impact. So,
each one will be different.
Yeah, I wouldn't think. I mean, just look at your vitamins that you take every day. You need more B12 as an older man than you would say vitamin A. Two very different vitamins, do very different things, but they're both vitamins. So I kind of think, and that's where what we do is hopefully adding to that body of knowledge, either directly or indirectly.
So what was your other subcategory? Extra stuff they put in?
Extra stuff.
CBD,
CBD, the ionic minerals, and if you want to throw the MU oil in there, you can. Although I'm kind of putting it in the other category, just because it is an oil. And now the only thing different is, of course, it comes from an animal instead of a plant, so the vegans can hold up their sign and protest, and I'm okay with that. I make sure I have 2 vegans every day, at least. Not opposed to vegans. Not opposed to vegans at all. Love you, Johnny. Love you. CBD.
Mm-hmm.
This is my hypothesis. All right. I have not tested it yet. And I might have to come back in a week and, say, Brian, dude, I was wrong one way or the other.
I think I've got some coming too in the next couple of weeks, and we can swap notes.
Oh, I'm always willing to swap notes, and that's what surprises people. I think that's much more of a bigger deal for reviewers than it is for me, because really all I'm telling you is my experience and my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you the absolute
my
truth.
Experience.
Yeah, and so if yours is different, that's okay. Your experience is still valid, and I think as long as we're honest and self-aware about what we do, I think that's valid.
Yeah, I think in the end it all comes down to trust, right? You gotta trust that you telling the truth. You got to trust that the owners are doing what they say they're doing, and I mean it just comes down to that. And I tend to be a trusting person. Some other people aren't because of the experiences they've had in life. So it just comes down to that.
So with CBD, and again, this is very, very small sample size. Okay, very small. One. Okay. It's in the back of my mind. How much of this perceived benefit is CBD, and how much of this is a master artisan that's been making products for years, who's very conscientious about detail, who makes a dang good product one way or the other. How much of that is him, and how much of it is that magic ingredient? That's really, now, end of the day, for the average consumer, it's a great product. But how much of it is CBD, and how much of it is this guy knowing what he's doing, making high quality product for years and years?
So we're going to have a A/B comparison with the CBD, non-CBD from the same master maker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just in my experience, what I've heard people that have used both and say that the CBD's in their minds better, but it costs more and there's more hype around it too. So it's hard to know unless you do a blind test.
True. But at the same time, I'm okay with hype as long as it's realistic. As long as the product, again, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So if it lives up to that, okay, great. It will be at a premium. It's not the $8 bottle of oil. It's not the $10, $12 container of butter. But if you get the results out of it, and that's something you can afford, or that's something that you can prioritize, nothing wrong with that. The most I've ever paid for an ounce of oil was $70.
Wow.
And I mean, the company that makes it is never going to watch this video. They're never going to care. But it was Tom Ford's effing fabulous. So hopefully that won't be we didn't talk about the rating on the language, so he uses the full profane word in
Gotcha.
There ain't no such thing as a good case of hemorrhoids.